On Tuesday, we will be looking at design parameterization and optimization. I'm expecting members of the class to take a look at this simple example of design parameterization and optimization based on the simple engine part that we have already seen before. We shall begin this model by setting certain important parameters. Here, we are ignoring the over 100 years of experience in the literature on connecting rod design, from which we can gain ideas as to the best way to design connecting rods. We assume we don't know anything about that. We just know that the kinematic constraints of a specific connecting rod has been given. The kinematic constraints have been given to us, and we are now trying to design a connecting rod. And this connecting rod we shall later optimize, and then we'll compare the result we get by just using Fusion 360 optimization strategy with existing connecting rods that have been based on years or 100 years of design experience, and see how using technology can leapfrog so many years of design experience. So our connecting rod is going to have kinematic constraints. And to start, we are going to use the modify tool here. In the modify tool here, we bring down the tool and select change parameters. In the change parameters, you can see there are user parameters with a plus sign here. The user parameters with a plus sign here, those are the things we're going to use for now. So if you select a plus sign, it prompts you to add user parameter. And to add user parameter, we will assume that the kinematic constraints we have are the distance between the pins, that is the pin of the crankshaft and that of the piston. Then the diameter of the pins, the thickness of the pin ends, and the thickness of the connecting rod body. So we're going to add parameters to this 3D model that will give us information about those 4 things. Let us begin. Enter name. The first thing we are going to do is we are going to enter the name of the distance between the pins. So we call that dist pin. Dist pin is going to be 180, just like what we had before, 180 millimeters. And comment is that this is the distance between the crankshaft and the piston pin. So if we're happy with that, we select OK. So that parameter is now defined. The parameter's name is dist pin. The unit is millimeters. Expression is just 180 millimeters, and the value is 180 millimeters, and that is the distance between the crank shaft and the piston pin. When we take the plus sign again, it gives us the same box. Add user parameter is given to us. We are going to talk about the small pin. The small pin size here, we are going to enter the value of 20, and then we might still leave the comments. And then next one, we do it again. Plus big pin, and then we enter an expression here. We just enter 50 millimeters, and then click OK. We are able to enter comments now or later as we choose. So if we are happy with those parameters, we click OK. Next thing is to draw our circles. So based on those parameters we have chosen, we are going to create circles, and from those circles and the distance between them, we're going to get our shape of the connecting rod. Now we're going to select sketch. We're going to create a sketch. We are prompted to select the plane of sketch, so that's the plane. We are using the ZX plane, as you can see, ZX plane here. So the ZX plane, and on the ZX plane, we are going to create a center circle. So center circle. So the beginning point of the circle is here, and then this circle now is going to have the size of big pin. So because it's big pen, we select that. Now the center circle, big pen. The next circle will be with this for the small pen. So we choose again, choose circle. It's a center circle again as before. So center circle, and then this one now is going to be small. So we have big pen size and a small size. Having defined our two circles, the next thing is to constrain them vertically. To constrain them vertically, we choose under the sketch palette here, we choose the vertical constraint, horizontal vertical, and then we're going to take the center of this, the center of this, and those are constrained and are now in a vertical axis, which is the Z axis. Now, next thing we do, we're going to give a dimension of the distance between the two pins. We'll take the dimension here, this is dimension, and then the dimension is from here to here, and then instead of giving a number now, we're just going to use what we have defined before, which is the distance, distance pin. So that distance pin has taken that one off, so we use the pan handle to bring this thing down and then make it smaller so that it can be both visible there. You will notice that prefixing every dimension we have used so far, you have fx, reminding us that the distances we have chosen are predefined, user-defined parameters that are known to this particular drawing. We can modify that at any time we choose. We won't modify it now. It's more interesting when we modify after we have put a three-dimensional side on this drawing. So let us move on. But you can see that the drawings are all in black. Now we are going to do more circles. Now we will use those parameters indirectly. Let's start. So if we choose creating another circle, center diameter circle from this origin, and then now we're going to say we're going to choose the big pen, but it will be multiplied by 1.2. So we have big pen multiplied by 1.4. It evaluated that to 60 millimeters with an fx, showing that this is not just a specified 60, we didn't just specify 60 millimeters, but it was computed based on intrinsic user-defined parameters. We'll do one more at this side. Say create another circle here, center circle, and then that center circle is coming from here, and the diameter of that circle is say again big pen multiplied by 1.4. So that is not obvious, but it is there. It is multiplied by 1.4, and then we are still having the front, which is the ZX plane. We do one more circle at the small end, and we're going to say create circle, and it is a center circle there, and that center circle we're going to give it small pen multiplied by 1.5. So that second circle has a radius of 30 because small pen multiplied by 1.5. Next, we are going to create a tangent line to both sets of circles, and we do that by first of all creating a line, and that line we let it start from that point to a point slightly longer than this one, and that line is there. We will eventually make this line tangent to the larger of the circles on either side, and we are going to mirror whatever we get at the end. In order to do that, let us begin our mirror line, the mirror line. So that's a line here, which starts from here to here with escape. And that line, in order to make it a construction line, we select X. We select the line and then type X. That means that line, a construction line. With the 5 circles already drawn, 2 sets up, 3 sets down, we can turn this line into a tangent to the outermost of those 2 sets of circles. We do that by selecting the tangent tool here, tangent, select this circle, and we again say tangent. We select this circle and this line, and we can see they are now in tangential relationship. We now go to trim. Trim tool, trim here, trim this part, then trim this part. Having done that, we are now in a position to mirror this line along this mirror line. So we are going to do that by selecting the mirror, and then the first thing is to select the object to mirror, which is this one object selected, and then select the mirror line, which is this one. We are okay with that, so the mirror is done. At this point, we are now in a position to create extrusions using the press pull. But before we do that, it is a good idea for us at this time to do some more trimming. So trimming here, trim. We're going to trim this and this. So that trim is good enough. So press pull Q, we select this, and then we are starting from the profile plane. We are taking a symmetric full length of a distance of 15 millimeters, and that's creating a new body. Okay, we go back to the sketch again, and we select edit sketch. Now we choose this we press Q, and then we choose this object here, this profile, and then it is symmetric, full length, and we want 25 millimeters there. And then we come here, we go back to the sketch, and we will say edit sketch, and then Q, select this, and then symmetric, full length, and this is 35, and that 35 is not creating a new body, it's creating a joint. Okay, so we have our connecting rod designed in this way. So we have this connecting rod now. With this connecting rod, we can do several things. For example, suppose we think, or suppose we are given that the distance between the center is not 180, but just 120. What we need to do is to go back to the change parameters, and we can take that parameter and change it to 120. If we select OK, that has reduced this level of the connecting rod and every other thing have been. But suppose we come back here and we find out that the inner diameter of the crank shaft is actually, instead of being 50, it's actually 70. You can come here again, go to the modify parameters, select change parameters, and instead of 50 here, put 70. Click OK. Click OK. Here is a new connecting rod. So this is a parameterized connecting rod, and because parameterized, we're able to choose different parameters for the connecting rod, and as long as we do not over constrain the drawing, we are able to select any of the parameters we have chosen, and the other parameter expressions will equally adjust themselves. So let us go back to our original connecting rod by doing modify again. Now modify, change parameters back to what we had before. So this one becomes 180, and this one becomes 50. And the change back is instantaneous, and that is our simple example of a parameterized connecting rod. We are now in a position to attempt the optimization or material reduction of a shape. In optimizing a shape, our objective is to examine where materials can be removed from the three-dimensional model without compromising kinematics and kinetics of the object in service. Shape optimization is one of the tools you are presented with upon getting to the simulation environment. To get there, you go to the simulation icon that you can bring under the drop down under the model. If you go to model and click there, you see the simulation environment is here, and you choose that. Upon choosing the simulation, right now we have done some previous work, and you can see there is a result there, but that's not what is of interest to us now. What's of interest to us is to do a new study. Want to do a new study? In the new study, we can decide that our new study should not be static stress, modal frequencies, thermal stresses, or anything, but shape optimization. And this shape optimization is located at the bottom right corner of the grid of icons that you are presented with. We select that, and then after selecting that, we can go into the top right here, and then we can select the manage. Manage is going to give us opportunity to go into general, meshing, and this study is already named study 5 because other studies have been carried out in this file previously. So what is of interest to us is to try and get our meshes selected correctly. What we want to do in the mesh is, right now the average element size is at 10%. That's usually not good enough for shape optimization, because in shape optimization you want to have a final mesh than that. So you can decide to come down to as low as you can come here and move this slider to as low as 3%, and then select scale mesh size per part, which you can choose from there, and then we go to advanced settings. Under advanced settings, we're able to move our element order from linear to parabolic, and we can decide to leave most of the other things unchanged for now and go back. When we go back, we are back to our shape optimization situation, and we can now click OK. Once we click OK, we are having the study 5 shape optimization ready with the simple connecting rod, the way we drew it, the parameterized connecting rod, that is. Now, first thing you might want to do is to edit the shape optimization target. Shape optimization target here, remember, in this body, in this component, there are essentially 3 bodies. The bodies are the body of the connecting rod, the body of the enclosure of the top pin, and the enclosure of the big pin, which is the crankshaft pin. Those are the three things. Now, our target is the middle one. That is the body of the connecting rod. So let us select that. We deliberately want to leave out these two pin ends because we do not want to affect the kinematic conditions of the, we do not want to be any suggestion that we can remove this thing enclosing the pins, because that would affect the kinematic conditions of the body that we are trying to design. So having done that, we can now apply our constraints. We can apply our constraints as before. We are going to apply structural constraint, and we are going to keep fixed the inner part of the crankshaft side and make that completely fixed. So click OK there. And the load we are going to apply now, we will apply it to the inner surface of the small pin. If we click the inner surface of the small pin and choose our load here, this is the load. We choose the load, we choose structural loads, and in structural loads we are going to choose the vector type, which gives us the loads in vector directions x, y, and z. Here we are going to choose an x force of 1000 newtons, and then we're going to choose a y force of 1000 newtons. So if we choose x force of 1000 newtons, y force of 1000 newtons, see, observe that with all the choices we have made, the pre-check is still in yellow. It's not giving us a go ahead. That means that we are being told that we are not yet ready to solve. There are still settings we have not yet done. And if you look a little bit closely, we have already taken care of our mesh size. We have looked at the shape optimization target. We have done the constraints. We have done the loads. What else is left? Let us try contacts. Because we have three bodies interacting, the Fusion 360 will need to know how these bodies are interacting. For instance, it is quite possible that we want the contact between the small pin and the body to be smooth, or that there be some rotations permitted. But in our case, we do not want any rotation here. We do not want any rotation here. So we want these things to be bonded. Let us see what contacts we generate. So if we ask for automatic contacts, it's anything that is up to 0.1 millimeter in distance or less will be assumed to be contact, so we can generate the contact. So when we generate the contact generation is very fast, as you can see, and you can see that the contact generation gives us a pre-check of pass. Now we might decide to take a look at the contacts by looking at manage contacts. You can see what is happening in the contacts is that the two contacts that we have are selected to be bonded. So that is why we are allowed to now solve this problem. And then the next thing for us to do is to choose solve, and we can choose our solve. If we choose our solve, we can decide that our solve should take place on cloud, and that's model study 5 is now ready for solving, and we can just say solve one study, and the solving will be done on the cloud. It takes about an hour, between 30 minutes or an hour, depending on your connection and the options you have chosen for this study to conclude. And that is the way the study will go. Now, in order to the completed results look like what you have in study 5 on the screen now. So when we say close, we have this drawing here, and it talks about load path criticality. So that is the paths shown in color are critical to the load path. The target here is like 50%. It's about, we want to remove 50% of the material. We can either lower that or increase that. If we lower that, you see what we get. or if we increase that to see what we get in the lower part, in the load path criticality. If we stay at 0.4, for instance, if we choose to stay at 0.4, one thing we might want to do is to use this to redesign the connecting rod. In order to do that, one of the easiest ways to do that is to go to results here, and then select promote. If you select promote, it will promote this load path criticality back to the model space. When it gets to the model space, the load path criticality can be promoted back into the model. If we promote it back into the model, we can therefore use the mesh generated by the shape optimization to guide our redesign of our shape. And that can be done, as you can see. We can now go back to all the modeling tools we had before, and we can use extrusion, circles, two-dimensional drawing, three-dimensional drawing. I can cut through the model, the existing model, or add parts to it. As you can see in the picture you are looking at here, that if you go back to the model in the browser, you can see that the original three bodies are there and they are all showing up. But here we have only allowed one of the mesh bodies to show up. We could do that for any of these mesh bodies or for all of them, and we can use all of them or some of them to help us in our redesign of the optimized model. Furthermore, in this 3D model, as I said earlier, we used only study 2. There are several ways you are able to use this mesh as a guide in improving your design. I refer to the Autodesk example of such a design modification in the YouTube address that you can see here. Take that, watch that video in addition to this in preparation for your class on Tuesday. Thank you.